Okay, the second part of working with haircuts would mainly be about the GS Curve Tools plugin, which I find extremely useful, and you actually can find this on ArtStation. I will give all the links in the presentation. But yes, I've bought it on ArtStation, and I've rated this tool 5 stars out of 5 because it's super cool. Here is a very nice description of all the things it can do with the curves and cards. Um, Here you also can find tutorials on how to use it, full tutorials which are super handy. Also, make sure to check this out. And yes, so if you want to buy this, you can follow this link. I will include it in the presentation, and the price is only $25 for now, which I find kind of low for such an amazing tool. Inside will also be the tool itself and the installation tips and documentation link, where you can also find all the settings, all the parameters and their meanings. So yes, let's continue with our presentation. I've included a very small tips about how to install it, but as I've said before, you can also find it in the tool itself. But yes, maybe this would also be helpful for you. I won't spend much time explaining it because this will take you only 2 minutes to install, because you should only download the zip file, then you should extract it in scripts in this path, like documents, Maya version scripts. And then there is it's used for versions from 2018 to 2022, which is very cool as well. Yes, and then you just shall copy this link from the instruction to your Python script editor and execute it. And that's all. Here are also kind of a small cheat sheet for you. I will talk about it later. So here are main functions I use, but all of them are super useful, and you can find out about all of them in the tutorial that this great artist provided. Oh yes, and the main window you will be working on each curve is this window. You can open it up by clicking on this curve control window, and it will open the GS Curve tool. Just to make a very short introduction to GS Tools plugin, here is the menu which gonna appear after you will install the plugin itself. And here is the main button to work with this menu. So for example, if you have already set up the material and you want to make the first hair card with this tool, you're gonna click the new card, and here it is. There are main two systems in producing hair cards in this plugin. It's warp and extrude, and the default one is warp. It's more upgraded and has more functions in it. But as for extrude, it has less bugs. I would recommend to use warp because it's so much better than the extrude. So if we're going to create the card, we're going to click new card, and it will create the card itself, but it won't have the material. If we have our material and we want to apply it to the hair card, we have to select the hair card like this, like the curve, and then just press the up arrow, and it will select the geometry itself. Then it's a very standard pipeline just to assign the existing material. It's hair cards for me. Select it once again because now you're selecting the geometry. And yes, here is our hair card. And if we want to adjust the texture, because now it applies all the UV texture to it, we have to click the UV editor window. Here is our UV editor, which was upgraded from the last version, and it's super convenient. We want to select our hair card, our shell, and then to draw it on the hair card we want to apply. Okay, here it is, as simple as this. But this is the top of our hair card, This is our roots, and now this is placed in the wrong direction. To fix this, we need to press vertical flip UV. Maybe we should just select it first, like vertical flip UV, and yes, here it is. Now it's fixed. To create another hair card, you can just duplicate this one and to repeat all that we have already done with the previous one. If we want to flip them all, we might need to select them, to select the UVs they are using, and to flip them in vertical. As simple as that. When you're creating your hairstyle, you're mainly using the curves. To control the curve, you need to select the curve itself and then to right-click and control vertex. You would then select vertices which you would need to move and to create the shape of your curve. The very useful thing is also soft select, which you're gonna activate by pressing B, and B plus the middle mouse controls the radius of the soft selection. So this is one of the most useful tools when you're using this plugin. By the way, you see our pivot and it's in the wrong place. To reset it, we need to click this button, Reset Pivot, and yes, here it is in the right position. We want to open this curve control window by clicking on it, and here is the main window we're going to control each curve. So first thing I would like to make is to orient it in the right way. And this controls the subdivisions of the lengths, and this one of the width. Most of the times you don't need no more than 3 divides of your hair strand in the width, and you can use as many subdivs in length as you might need. For example, if you're bending your hair card in such ways, you might need to add some extra subdivs. Ctrl Z works pretty well with this plugin, so don't be afraid to use it as well. Here is the control of the width of the curve. Here we can control the taper. This is the twist. This is the inverted twist. All these functions are very self-explanatory, so just play with it and you're gonna know how to use it immediately. I wouldn't recommend you to use the lengths because you can adjust it by tweaking the curve points. Here is the offset. I also don't use it much because I prefer to make it with my curve points. And here is the profile. If you need to make the extra volume of your hair strand, you can tweak this parameter. And also, by the way, twist, width, and profile functions have the graphic itself, and you can control it by tweaking the graphic, which is extremely useful in some situations. For example, I usually use the twist curve graphic, and yes, you can twist it in any direction. You could add some points, or you can delete them as well, and make your graphic just as you want it to be. And the width curve graphic is also very handy as well. Like if you want to reduce the width of the tips and roots, you can just apply it on the graphic, and if you want to reset the graphic, just click this, reset, and reset. I do recommend you to watch the tutorial by the creator of that very useful plugin, but I will also show you some very useful functions which I use 90% of time. For example, if on your hairstyle you have 2 curves and you want to add more of them, you can add more of them just in between, which is super useful. You just need to select how many of the hair cards you want to create and click Add Cards. And here it is. It generates the hair cards with the information about these 2 initial hair cards and making the very nice blend out of it. And also, if, for example, you are using the same hair card and you want to change the UV because you don't really want to use the same hair cards for the whole hairstyle, it might be too obvious and too visible, you want to mix them, you just need to select the hair card you are currently using and the hair card from your library, which UV you want to apply, and then with Shift you click Transfer UVs. And here it is, transfers the UVs from the hair card you selected, like this. I can show it once again. With Shift, like you have selected the two hair cards, and if you want to apply the UVs from the last one, you must click with Shift, Transfer UVs. And here it is. It also says that this is a source. I have already shown you the very useful function reset pivot, and you can also apply attributes if you have some attributes, like, for example, if you want to apply taper and if it has some specific attributes which you would like to apply, but I rarely use this function, but for some reason you might need it. You also select the hair cards you would like to apply these attributes to. The last one, you select this hair card from which you want to apply this attribute, and with Shift pressed, you click Transfer Attributes. And here it is, as you see, as simple as that. With this plugin, you can also create the tubes, which might be very useful for different braids. You apply the material just as I have shown before, like this. After creating the hairstyle and after using this plugin, I switch off the geometry, just because usually I have the geo in my hairstyle as well. And then I can only select the curves. And then I click Extract Selected. It creates the geometry. So when I'm finished with the hairstyle or if I want to test it in the engine, I select all my hair curves and I click Extract Selected, and then here you are, you have your hairstyle and you just want to clear your history and freeze transformations and export it. But I will delete it for now. If you want to delete the hair card, you should also select the curve itself, press the up arrow and press delete. Because if you just delete the curve itself, it won't delete the geometry it's binded to. There are so many different useful functions in this hair plugin. I have shown you only the most useful from my point of view. Check the showcase for this tutorial from the creator. It also has this function like mirroring, which is very useful as well. You can also add different hair cards to different layers, which might be very convenient. For example, when you have created the first layer with the opaque hair strands, you just select the hair strands which you have created, and then by pressing the right mouse, you click Add Selection to Layer, and then you can switch off this layer if you for some reason need this. Oh, it's already in this layer. Okay, we might want to add this in the first layer, and then it activates, and then toggle layer visibility. So this is it. Every time you want to create another hair card, just duplicate the existing one, set pivot, just duplicate the existing one, and you're basically done. You can tweak it just as you want. One of the most powerful things, I may say, is that it's binded to the curve, because it gives you much more freedom of tweaking and of placing the hair cards. It's just like, it's an awesome tool. This will also show you some specific parts of your grooming. If you want to show it only the curves, click curves, or just geo without these curves, click geo. If you want this tool to show you in which layer these hair strands are, you just click color, and here you can see that these layers have different colors, and this also will show you the layer of each hair card. Or when you want to work in the standard mode, just click all and switch off the color. I will show you the last function I really love. When I want to create the hair card from the curve, I go to orthographic mode, just because it's more convenient to create the curves from these cameras. I go to Curve Tools and then to Pencil Curve Tool. Then I draw the curve just like I want it to be. I go to the standard mode again, to the perspective camera. And then you want to select this curve and to click Curve Card. And here it is. So just like magic, reset pivot. And you want to press up arrow and to select the material. With Shift, you can transfer UVs. Also, this might be not very convenient to have the curves with too many points, like this. And if it doesn't work for you, you can control the number of these points with this rebuild curve. For me, it's very convenient when there are like from 5 to 10 points, no more than that, because otherwise this would be very hard to control your curve. This is the very last thing I want to show you. When I have the hair card from the first layer, which is very opaque and not transparent, and I want to add some hair cards on the top of it from the second layer, for example, I can adjust the number of it in this slider, for example 2 or 3, and with pressing Shift I click Subdivide, and it creates the other two hair cards just on top of the existing one. And then I just want to transfer UVs pressing Shift from my library, and then to tweak it just like I want. So yes, basically this is it. Now we're ready to continue our grooming with this plugin, so I hope you like it, as I find it just amazing.